Earth feels like the answer because every human life has begun beneath its sky. Every breath, every city, every memory, and every idea of home has formed on this one blue world. So when we call Earth perfect, it feels natural. It feels almost obvious. But maybe that word says more about us than it says about the planet itself. A home can be precious without being ideal. A world can be alive without being gentle. And a planet can carry civilization while still leaving it exposed to dangers we rarely notice until they arrive. Somewhere beyond the reach of our eyes, there may be worlds that bend the idea of home into stranger shapes. Worlds with softer light. Worlds with deeper protection. Worlds where time moves more patiently around life. Worlds where the sky itself would make a human being stop and question whether Earth was ever the final design. This is not a search for fantasy. It is a quiet thought experiment built from physics, chemistry, gravity, and time. It asks what a human world might look like if nature changed only a few conditions, and if those changes made survival a little less fragile. Not perfect, just more forgiving. And before we begin, if you enjoy calm, long-form documentary stories about space, mystery, and the strange edges of what we know, subscribe to The Last Signal on YouTube. It helps the channel grow, and it tells YouTube to bring more people into these stories. Now look at Earth from far away. A thin blue glow, a small sphere in the dark. The only home we know, and maybe not the only kind of home the universe can make. Habitability is not the same as comfort. That is the first idea that has to be separated before any better world can be imagined clearly. When scientists describe a planet as habitable, they are usually not saying it would feel like home. They are saying that, under the right conditions, liquid water could exist on its surface for long periods. That is a powerful starting point, because water is central to life as we understand it. But it is only a starting point. A world can hold oceans and still be hostile to bodies like ours. A world can have clouds, seasons, and chemistry, yet still punish every attempt to build a stable civilization. A planet can pass the simplest test and still fail the deeper one. Earth proves this in a quiet way, because our home is alive, breathable, and beautiful, but never truly gentle. Stand outside on an ordinary afternoon, and it does not feel dangerous. The ground is still beneath your feet. Air moves through your lungs without thought. Clouds drift across the sky, daylight warms the skin, and gravity holds everything in a familiar balance. From the surface, Earth feels complete. But that feeling is partly an illusion created by closeness. We are adapted to this place, so its dangers often feel normal until they arrive. Beneath the calm surface, the planet has always been a machine of pressure, heat, motion, and risk. Ice can spread across continents. Seas can rise and swallow coasts. Volcanoes can darken the air. Storms can turn warm oceans into engines of destruction. Rocks from space can cross the planet's path without warning. Radiation from the sun and beyond it is constantly pressing against the thin protection above our heads. None of this means Earth is a bad world. It means Earth is a working world, and those are not the same thing. A house can pass inspection and still have weak walls, poor insulation, and a roof that will eventually fail. It can keep people alive for now, while still leaving them exposed to problems that grow worse with time. Habitability works in a similar way. The question is not only whether life can survive somewhere. The question is how much punishment that world can absorb before survival becomes difficult. For microbes, the standard may be low. A damp rock, a buried ocean, or a warm crack beneath ice might be enough. For humans, the standard is far higher. We need air that does not poison us, gravity that does not slowly damage us, temperatures that stay within a narrow range, and food systems that can be repeated generation after generation. A technological civilization needs even more. It needs stable coastlines, predictable seasons, protected electronics, usable energy, recoverable disasters, and enough time between catastrophes to rebuild. That is where the idea of a more forgiving planet begins. Such a world would not need to be larger, brighter, or more dramatic. It would need wider safety margins. Its climate might shift more slowly. Its star might flare less violently. Its magnetic field might protect the surface for longer. Its oceans might store heat more patiently. Its geology might recycle minerals without tearing the surface apart too often. Its orbit might keep it in a calmer region of space. Each of those advantages sounds small alone, but together they change the meaning of home. A civilization living there would not be safe from everything. No planet can promise that. But it might have more time to recover from mistakes, more protection against invisible forces, and fewer sudden changes capable of breaking history in one generation. That is the difference between biological habitability and civilization-level safety. One asks whether life can appear. The other asks whether a complex society can endure. Earth has answered the first question with extraordinary force. It has carried oceans, forests, animals, intelligence, memory, and cities. It has allowed a species to look back at the planet and wonder what else might be possible. But Earth has not answered the second question forever. The sun will not remain exactly as it is. The atmosphere will not stay unchanged across deep time. The climate system has never been a locked room. Life here has survived again and again, but often by passing through narrow gates that many species never crossed. So the better question is not whether Earth works. It clearly does. The better question is whether nature can build a world with more room for failure, more patience in its systems, and fewer ways for a single disaster to become final. The next possible home begins with light that does not feel quite like daylight on Earth. The star above this planet is smaller than the sun, cooler than the sun, and calmer in the way it burns through its life. It would not dominate the sky with the same sharp white glare that humans know from home. Its light could arrive warmer, softer, and lower, as if the whole world lived under a long autumn afternoon. That difference might seem cosmetic at first. It is not. The star that warms a planet is also the clock that limits it. Our sun feels steady because human lives are brief. A civilization can rise, fall, rebuild, and forget its own beginning, while the sun appears almost unchanged. Across cosmic time, though, it is not permanent. It is slowly changing, and those changes place a limit around the future comfort of our planet. Long before the sun reaches its final states, Earth will become harder for oceans, climates, and complex life to endure. That does not make the sun violent by ordinary standards. It simply means our home depends on a star with a deadline. An orange dwarf star changes that equation. These stars burn their fuel more slowly. They are less massive than the sun, less intense, and often capable of remaining stable for far longer. For a planet in the right orbit, that could mean a much longer calm era. Not a few extra human centuries, not a narrow delay before trouble, but long ages in which oceans could remain, climate could settle, life could repair itself after disasters, and intelligence could have more chances to begin again. Time would be the hidden advantage. On this world, the greatest gift would not be a strange sky or a dramatic horizon. It would be patience. The planet itself could also improve on Earth in small, physical ways. It might be slightly larger, giving it more surface area for continents, seas, weather systems, and living space. That extra size could help it hold an atmosphere more securely and maintain internal heat for geological activity. If the balance were right, its interior could keep moving for longer, recycling carbon, renewing minerals, and helping the climate regulate itself across deep time. A world like that would not need to be enormous. In fact, too much size would become a burden. Gravity that is somewhat stronger might still be manageable, but a planet that grows too massive begins to turn comfort into weight. Bodies work harder, mountains stand lower, flight becomes more difficult. Rockets must fight harder to leave the surface. The ideal version is not a giant Earth. It is a world only a little heavier, only a little broader, with enough extra mass to help its systems last without making every step feel like labor. Atmosphere matters just as much. A thicker atmosphere could soften the edge between heat and cold. It could move warmth around the planet more efficiently, reduce harsh temperature swings, and protect the surface from some radiation. Combined with larger oceans, it might act like a climate cushion, absorbing sudden shocks before they spread through the entire system. That does not mean endless calm. Weather would still exist. Storms would still form. Seasons might still shift. But the planet systems could respond more slowly, more heavily, with less of the brittle instability that has pushed Earth through extremes again and again. Imagine standing on a low hill near one of its oceans. The air feels dense but breathable. Wind moves through unfamiliar plants in slow, steady waves. The sea stretches wide beneath clouds tinted copper and gold. Above the horizon, the orange star hangs smaller than the sun, not weak, but restrained. Shadows do not cut as sharply across the ground. They lie softer against rocks, water, and distant shorelines. Even the light seems to suggest that nothing here is rushing toward an ending. For humans, a world like this would change the emotional meaning of time. On Earth, civilization lives inside a narrow band of planetary luck. The atmosphere is thin. The climate has limits. The star is stable for now, but not forever. Under an orange star, a living planet might have a wider future. It might give biology more chances after mass death. It might give intelligence more room after failure. It might give a technological society enough time to grow cautiously, instead of racing against every pressure at once. This is why some researchers use the idea of a superhabitable world carefully. The word does not mean paradise. It means a planet that could be more favorable to life in certain ways than Earth, if the right conditions came together. The orange star would not solve every problem. A weak magnetic field could still leave the surface exposed. A poor atmosphere could still ruin the climate. Too much gravity could still strain bodies. Too much cloud cover could still limit sunlight. Life would still depend on chemistry, geology, chance, and protection working together. Yet the central idea remains powerful because it is so quiet. A safer home may not announce itself with impossible mountains or glowing oceans. It may simply remain steady while other worlds change too quickly. It may let its seas last longer, its air endure longer, and its living systems recover after damage that would end a harsher planet. From a distance, it might look almost ordinary. A slightly larger world circling a dimmer star. a warmer point of light in a darker sky. But on the surface, beneath that patient orange glow, the difference would be felt in the one thing no civilization can manufacture for itself: time. Another possible home begins with something no Earth sky can prepare you for. Above the horizon, a planet hangs where empty blue or black space should be. It is not a small companion like our moon. It is a towering world of bands, storms, pale colors, and slow motion, filling a part of the sky so large that it would feel less like an object and more like a presence. For anyone standing beneath it, the first lesson would arrive before the science. This place would not feel alone. It would feel held inside something larger. The world under your feet would not be a planet in the ordinary sense, but a large moon moving around a giant planet. If that giant planet orbited its star at the right distance, and if the satellite had the right atmosphere, mass, chemistry, and protection, liquid water could exist on its surface. That possibility sounds strange only because human experience is narrow. In our solar system, moons are often cold, airless, icy, volcanic, or buried under radiation. But physics does not forbid a large moon from becoming far more Earth-like under different conditions. The important word is conditions. A habitable moon would need many things to go right at the same time. It would need enough gravity to hold air. It would need an atmosphere thick enough to protect the surface, but not so thick that heat becomes trapped beyond comfort. It would need a stable orbit around its giant neighbor. It would need the star to provide warmth without boiling the oceans away. And it would need the larger planet's magnetic environment to help more than it harms. That last point matters, because a giant planet is not simply a beautiful object in the sky. It is a source of gravity, radiation, magnetism, shadow, and rhythm. Living near one would mean living inside a powerful system. The moon could be tidally locked to the giant planet, with one side always turned towards that enormous face. This does not mean one side would always face the star. It means that as the satellite circles its planet, the same hemisphere keeps looking inward toward the giant. For the people living there, the sky would divide the world into places with a permanent planet overhead and places where that planet never appears at all. On one side, the giant would be part of weather, culture, navigation, myth, architecture, and timekeeping. On the far side, the sky might look more open, more familiar, and more lonely. The physics beneath the surface could be just as important as the view above it. A giant planet pulls on a moon unevenly. As the satellite moves through its orbit, gravity can stretch and squeeze it again and again. That process can create internal heat. It is called tidal heating. In the gentle version, this heat could help keep a world's interior active. It could feed volcanoes, move minerals, renew the crust, and support the cycles that make a long-lived climate possible. The comparison is simple but powerful. Grip a ball of clay and press it again and again from different sides, and the material warms under repeated strain. A moon near a giant planet can feel a cosmic version of that pressure, not from hands, but from gravity itself. The advantage is real, but it is dangerous. Too little internal heat, and the world may become geologically dead. Too much, and the surface can turn violent. The same force that keeps one moon alive could make another almost unlivable, covering it in eruptions, toxic gases, and constant upheaval. Tidal heating is not a gift without a cost. It is a narrow balance between warmth and destruction. Day and night would also feel unfamiliar, because the satellite circles its giant planet while the whole pair moves around the star. Its daylight cycle might be longer than Earth's. A day could stretch for several Earth days, depending on the orbit. Night might not be a brief pause, but a long period that shapes sleep, farming, migration, weather, and city design. Civilization would have to learn patience in a new way. Power systems would store energy for extended darkness. Farms might follow rhythms that no Earth calendar could copy. Cities on the planet-facing side might build windows, towers, and observatories around the fixed shape in the sky. The greatest moment might come during an eclipse. At certain points in the orbit, the giant planet would slide between the moon and the star. Daylight would begin to fade while the star was still high. The air would cool. The colors on the ground would flatten. Birds, animals, or whatever life existed there might fall silent under a false evening. Then the huge disk overhead would swallow the star completely, and noon would become twilight. Stars would appear in the middle of the day. The rim of the giant planet might glow with a thin line of scattered light. For a few minutes, or perhaps longer, the whole world would be reminded that its sky was not empty, and that its home moved inside another world's shadow. For humans, such a place could offer advantages Earth does not have. Tidal heat could support long geological activity. The giant planet might help shape orbital stability. The system could provide regular cycles of light, shadow, tide, and energy that civilization would learn to use. A large neighbor could also capture or redirect some objects moving through the system, though it could not make the moon safe from every impact. At the same time, the dangers would never disappear. Radiation belts around the giant planet could threaten life and technology. Strong tides could stress oceans and coastlines. Long nights could test food systems. An unstable orbit could ruin everything. A weak atmosphere could leave the surface exposed. This world would be better than Earth only if the balance stayed gentle enough for life and strong enough to keep the planet alive from within. That is what makes the idea so powerful. It is not a fantasy of an easy paradise. It is a vision of a home where danger and protection come from the same source. The giant in the sky would give heat, rhythm, shadow, and risk. It would make the world feel watched, sheltered, and threatened at the same time. And for the people living there, every morning on the planet-facing side would begin beneath a reminder that their home was never alone. Another design begins with a sky that refuses to stay empty. At first, the other world might look like a bright wandering star above the evening horizon. Then, over many nights, it would grow. It would become a disk. Clouds would appear. Blue oceans might separate from pale continents. Weather systems would curl across its face, and the impossible truth would become clear to everyone watching. That light in the sky would not be a moon. It would be another living planet. Not a distant world locked forever beyond reach, and not a decoration in the heavens. It would be a neighbor moving around the same star, sharing a related path through space. The idea sounds unstable because human instinct imagines two planets in the same orbital region as a collision waiting to happen. If two cars tried to occupy the same lane at the same speed, the ending would be obvious. Gravity, however, can build patterns that are stranger than ordinary motion. Under the right arrangement, two worlds could follow a co-orbital pattern, meaning their paths around the star are connected rather than completely separate. They would not simply chase each other in a circle until one caught the other. Instead, Their mutual gravity could make them trade positions over a long repeating cycle. One would drift inward along part of the orbit. The other would drift outward. Then the pattern would reverse. From far above the star system, the motion might look like two runners trading lanes again and again without ever touching. Each pass would depend on timing, mass, distance, and stability. Too much disturbance, and the arrangement could fail. The orbits would need to be precise enough that the worlds avoid disaster for long ages. For humans, the attraction of such a system is not only visual, it is survival. Earth carries all known life on one planet. Every city, language, field, library, machine, and memory sits inside a single atmosphere. If our world suffers a global catastrophe, there is no nearby second biosphere waiting to help. A twin world system would change that psychological weight. One planet would not have to carry the entire future alone. The closest approaches would become events that shaped civilization. For most of the cycle, the neighboring world might remain far away, bright and familiar, but still unreachable by ordinary means. Then, across a long approach, it would begin to swell in the sky. Astronomers would track it. Coastlines would prepare for altered tides. Governments would plan transport windows. Religious traditions, calendars, markets, and families would all feel the pull of the coming passage. Children would grow up hearing that the sister world was returning. Old people would remember the last time its continents were visible to the naked eye. Cities would dim their lights so people could watch its night side glitter with storms or settlements. On the weeks of closest approach, the sky would become difficult to ignore. The neighboring planet would hang above the horizon like a second future. Oceans on both worlds would answer to its gravity. Tides would rise higher than usual and move with a rhythm no ordinary lunar calendar could explain. Harbors would close. Low coastal roads would empty. Scientists would watch fault lines, weather patterns, and orbital measurements with unusual care. The event would be beautiful, but it would not be harmless. A nearby planet is not just a symbol. It is a mass of rock, ocean, air, and gravity large enough to tug on another world. That pull could create planning challenges across every shoreline and every ocean basin. Navigation in space would also become more complex. Travel between the two worlds might become easier during close approach, but easier does not mean simple. Vehicles would still need energy, shielding, timing, and safe paths through changing gravitational fields. A civilization that wanted to use this opportunity would have to become skilled at patience. It would have to think in cycles longer than elections, longer than business plans, and longer than a single human life. The reward could be enormous. During close passages, the two planets might exchange probes, cargo, people, genetic records, scientific instruments, and emergency supplies. If one world suffered a disaster, the other might preserve knowledge, biology, or culture. If one climate failed, the other could become a refuge. If one civilization collapsed, the other might remember it long enough for contact to return. That does not make the pair safe from everything. A shared star could still change. A major impact could still occur. Orbital instability could still turn the pattern into a threat. Political conflict between two living worlds could become as dangerous as any natural force. The second home would be a protection only if intelligence treated it carefully. Without restraint, a reachable neighbor could become another place to damage, divide, or fear. That is why the real advantage is redundancy rather than perfection. 2 planets would give civilization a backup, but also a responsibility. They would make extinction feel less absolute, while making mistakes harder to hide. Each world would look up at the other and see evidence that its choices were no longer local. On Earth, the night sky is mostly distance. The planets are lights. The stars are points. Even the moon, close as it feels, is not a second Earth. In a twin-world system, the sky would carry a different message. It would say that home can have a counterpart. It would say that history does not have to balance on one sphere of air and water. And when the neighboring planet finally began to shrink again, leaving the sky slowly emptier night after night, people would understand the strange comfort of not being alone. A more ocean-rich world would not greet the eye with continents first. It would begin with water. From orbit, the world would look darker and deeper than Earth, with broad blue regions wrapping around it like a moving skin. Land would still exist, because without land, the idea becomes much less useful for humans. There would be island chains, shallow shelves, volcanic ridges, river mouths, and scattered continents rising out of the sea. Yet the planet's strongest feature would be its ocean system. It would not simply have more water than Earth. It would use that water as part of its stability. On any living world, temperature is not only about how much light arrives from the star. It is also about what the planet does with that light after it arrives. Rock heats quickly and cools quickly. Water is slower. It absorbs warmth, stores it, moves it, and releases it back into the air over time. That slowness matters. A planet with larger oceans and strong circulation could soften the sharp edges between hot and cold. It could move heat away from the equator, carry warmth toward colder regions, and reduce the kind of brutal swings that stress life and civilization. For humans, that would be more than a pleasant climate. It would be a wider margin against failure. Weather would still happen. Clouds would still gather. Storms would still build over warm seas. Rain would still flood low ground, and winds would still test whatever people built along the coast. Yet the deeper system beneath those storms might respond with more inertia than Earth's climate often does. This planet would be harder to push suddenly into extremes. Its seas would act like a great heat reservoir, not stopping change completely, but slowing it down enough for living systems to adjust. That is the possible advantage. It is also where the danger begins. Too much water can turn a hopeful world into a difficult one. A pure ocean planet might look peaceful from a distance, but it could hide serious problems beneath the surface. If the water is too deep everywhere, the pressure at the bottom can separate the ocean from the rocky crust below. That separation can weaken the exchange of minerals between rock and water. Without that exchange, nutrient cycles may suffer. Without shallow seas, exposed rock, rivers, coastlines, and weathering, a planet can lose some of the chemical motion that helps life stay rich and complex. For human civilization, the problem becomes even more direct. People need stable ground. They need places to grow food, mine minerals, build settlements, repair machines, bury infrastructure, and move without floating everything they own. An endless global ocean might be interesting for biology, but it would be a hard bargain for a land-based species. The ideal version would not be endless water. It would be balanced water. Shallow seas would cover wide areas, giving life warm, mineral-rich regions where chemistry can stay active. Islands and continents would break the surface, giving civilization ground without letting the planet become dry and brittle. Rain would return minerals to the sea. Rivers would carve through land. Weathering would pull gases from the air and help regulate climate across long ages. Volcanic regions and moving crust could keep the deeper cycles from going silent. The ocean engine would not be one machine. It would be many systems working together: water, air, rock, heat, rain, currents, and chemistry. Stand on one of its coastlines near evening. The sky hangs low with heavy cloud. The air tastes of salt and wet stone. Warm rain falls in slow sheets, not violently, but with the sense that the atmosphere is always carrying more water than Earth would allow. Beyond the beach, shallow seas stretch for miles before darkening into deep blue. Waves move with a heavy rhythm, as if the planet itself is breathing through its oceans. Far offshore, volcanic islands rise through mist, black against the silver surface. It would feel calm, but not light. It would feel protected, but also enclosed. A world like this could shape civilization in ways that Earth never did. Coastal cities would matter more. Shipbuilding, weather prediction, tidal engineering, and ocean farming could become central parts of culture, rather than specialist industries. Trade routes might follow currents as carefully as roads follow valleys. Energy could come from tides, waves, winds, temperature differences, and the constant motion between sea and air. Food systems might depend on shallow marine farms, floating platforms, wet lowlands, and island agriculture working together. People would learn to read clouds, pressure, swells, and currents with the seriousness that desert cultures give to wells. The planet's gift would be resilience. If one region cooled, water could carry warmth toward it. If one season grew harsher, the surrounding seas might soften the change. If civilization made mistakes, the climate system might not answer instantly with disaster. That does not make it safe. A warmer ocean can feed stronger storms. Too much humidity can strain bodies and crops. Coastal settlements can be vulnerable to flooding. Deep water can hide tectonic danger. A stable climate cushion is still a cushion inside a world of moving energy. The better world is not the one with the most water. It is the one where water, land, air, and rock stay in conversation. Earth already has this conversation, but it often speaks in violent bursts. On a more ocean-rich planet, that exchange might be slower, broader, and less brittle. Sometimes the strongest home is not the driest ground or the clearest sky. Sometimes it is the world that can absorb the blow before everything breaks. Another kind of safer world begins with something almost impossible to see. Not a larger ocean, not a second planet in the sky, not several suns crossing above the horizon. Its most important feature would be the silence of disasters that never reach the ground. A planet can look peaceful from its surface while space is constantly trying to take that piece apart. Above every world, charged particles move through the dark. Starlight brings warmth, but stars also release radiation, flares, and streams of energetic material. Over long ages, those forces can damage atmospheres, disturb chemistry, threaten living cells, and weaken the conditions that make a planet livable. Earth survives this pressure because it has layers of defense. The atmosphere absorbs and filters much of what would harm the surface. The magnetic field helps guide charged particles away from most regions of the planet. Together, they form an invisible system of protection that most people never think about. On an ordinary night, that protection does not announce itself. The sky looks open. The air feels empty. The stars seem harmless. Yet the quiet above your head is not the absence of danger. It is danger being held back. a better human world might not need to look more dramatic than Earth. It might only need a stronger and longer-lasting shield. That shield would begin inside the planet itself. Deep below the surface, moving conductive material can help generate a magnetic field. If the interior stays active for longer, the field may remain stronger across deep time. That matters because a magnetic field is not decoration. It can help reduce atmospheric loss. It can protect technology in orbit. It can soften the impact of stellar wind, the constant flow of charged particles moving outward from a star. It can make the difference between a world that keeps its air and one that slowly loses it to space. The comparison is useful, as long as it stays careful. A magnetic field is not a solid wall. It is more like a storm barrier around a city, bending some of the force away before it reaches the streets. Some danger still gets through. Some regions remain more exposed. Under extreme conditions, even a strong barrier can be overwhelmed. But without it, the city stands naked in the weather. A planet's atmosphere is the second part of that protection. It is not just the air people breathe. It is a chemical roof, a heat regulator, a pressure blanket, and a filter against harmful radiation. If the atmosphere is too thin, the surface becomes exposed. If it is too thick, heat can become trapped until comfort disappears. The ideal version is not simply more air. It is the right air, held for long enough, balanced by geology, oceans, sunlight, and chemistry. The star also matters. A planet with a strong shield around a violent star may still suffer. Small active stars can produce powerful flares, and those flares can strike nearby planets with intense radiation. A world may sit at the right distance for liquid water and still be punished from above. That is why the safer version pairs two advantages together. The planet keeps a working magnetic engine, and the star remains quiet enough that the shield is not constantly fighting a losing battle. This kind of world might not feel unusual at first. A person standing on its surface might see blue or green air, ordinary clouds, mountains in the distance, and a star rising with no sign of threat. The difference would appear at the edges. Satellites would survive longer. Power systems would face fewer violent disturbances from space. The upper atmosphere would erode more slowly. Life on the surface would spend less of its history exposed to bursts of radiation that arrive without warning. Near the poles, the protection might become visible for a moment. Auroras could spread through the darkness in slow curtains of green, red, or violet light. They would look beautiful from the ground, but their beauty would be evidence of violence redirected. Particles from space would be guided into high regions of the atmosphere, where they would strike gases far above sleeping cities. Below, people might walk under the glow without feeling the storm that produced it. Houses would remain dark. Fields would remain still. Rivers would move quietly under bridges. The sky would be taking the punishment in silence. For civilization, that hidden protection could matter more than scenery. A society that depends on electricity, satellites, navigation, communication, and delicate machines is vulnerable to space weather in ways earlier life was not. A stronger shield would not make technology invincible. It would not prevent every blackout, every atmospheric change, or every biological risk. However, it might reduce the number of times the planet forces civilization to start over after damage from above. That is the deeper advantage. The world would give safety not through abundance, but through prevention. It would protect the air, before people noticed it was being lost. It would protect biology before mutations and damage became too severe. It would protect machines before invisible storms turned systems fragile. And because those protections would often be invisible, the planet might be underestimated. Humans are drawn to features they can see. A giant planet overhead feels important. A sister world in the sky feels unforgettable. A sea-dominated planet feels immediately different beneath the feet. But the safest world might be the one whose best feature is absence. No stripped atmosphere, no constant radiation crisis, no sky that betrays the surface too often, no slow bleeding of air into space while life struggles below. That does not make the planet perfect. Weak gravity, poor chemistry, unstable geology, or the wrong atmosphere could still ruin everything. A shield helps only when the rest of the world is worth protecting. Yet under the right conditions, this might be one of the quietest improvements nature can make. The safest sky may not be the most beautiful one. It may be the one that looks ordinary because it is doing its job. A world of almost endless daylight begins with the absence of ordinary night. On Earth, darkness is a rhythm the body expects. The sun drops below the horizon. The air cools, colors fade, and the world gives itself back to shadow. On this planet, that simple pattern would be broken. One star might set while another still burns low in the sky. A third source of light might rise before darkness has fully arrived. Even when the main day ends, the surface could remain caught in a strange half-light, neither afternoon nor night. The sky would not belong to one sun. It would be shared. This sounds like fantasy only because Earth has one star close enough to matter. Across the galaxy, many stars are not alone. Some travel in pairs. Some belong to wider systems where several stars are bound together by gravity. A planet can exist in such a system, but only if the arrangement is stable enough for its orbit to remain calm over long ages. That is the first rule of this world. Light is useful only if order survives. If the stars pull the planet too strongly in different directions, the climate can become chaotic. If the orbit stretches too much, the planet can swing between freezing and overheating. If the stars are too young, too violent, or too far along in their lives, the sky may become beautiful for a while and deadly afterward. A better world of many suns would need balance before it could offer abundance. The stars would have to move like several clocks, staying in rhythm, each one affecting the planet without breaking the pattern completely. From the surface, the result would feel unlike anything human beings have known. Shadows would not fall in one direction. They could cross each other at angles, one dark and sharp, another faint and warm, another stretched thin across the ground. Sunrise might not mean morning in the ordinary sense. It might mean only that the color of light has changed. Evening might arrive slowly, not as a door closing, but as one lamp after another dimming in a vast room. True darkness could become rare enough to shape culture. People might gather for it the way people on Earth gather for eclipses, meteor showers, or the first clear night after a storm. A moonless black sky might feel sacred because it almost never appears. Most of the time, the world would remain awake. For civilization, that could be a powerful advantage. More available light means more energy reaching the surface. Solar power could work across longer parts of the day. Crops might grow under extended illumination if biology and temperature allowed it. Cities could depend less on stored power during long dark periods. Outdoor work, travel, navigation, and heating could all follow a rhythm less limited by night. A species living there might build its sense of time around changing colors rather than a clean split between day and darkness. Morning could be the white star rising. Afternoon could belong to the warmer one. Rest could begin not when light vanishes, but when the sky finally softens enough for the body to slow down. But the same advantage carries risk. Too much light becomes heat. Too much heat changes oceans, winds, ice, clouds, and chemistry. A planet almost never in darkness could struggle to release energy back into space. If the atmosphere traps warmth too efficiently, the extra daylight would stop being a gift and become a pressure building everywhere at once. The amount of light and heat reaching the planet would have to stay within a narrow range. That range would decide whether the world becomes fertile or feverish. Radiation adds another danger. More stars can mean more chances for flares, charged particles, and storms from space. If even one of the stars is unstable, the planet's atmosphere and surface life could be tested again and again. A strong magnetic field and thick enough air would matter here, but they would not erase the problem. Protection helps most when the sky is not constantly attacking it. The best version of this world would avoid dying giants and unstable stars. It would rely on long-lived, orderly stars that give light, without turning the planet into a countdown. That makes this world less dramatic than the wildest version, but far more believable. The goal is not 5 blazing suns overhead. The goal is a stable arrangement where daylight becomes a resource instead of a weapon. Picture a city near the edge of one of its oceans. Low buildings glow under several sources of light. Rooftops are covered with dark panels angled in different directions, each one waiting for a different star. The streets hold layered shadows, crossing over each other like markings on a map. The air is warm, but not burning. Far out over the water, one sun touches the horizon in copper light, while another remains pale and high above the clouds. People do not stop to stare at it every day, because to them this is normal. Only during the rare arrival of full darkness do they understand how strange their home really is. For humans from Earth, the beauty would come with unease. Our bodies are built around sleep, cooling, darkness, and the ancient rhythm of one star. A world of extended daylight might force biology and culture to adapt in ways that feel unnatural at first. Windows would need to manage light carefully. Cities would design artificial darkness. Farms would select crops that can rest under color shifts rather than deep night. Children might learn the names of shadows the way children on Earth learn the phases of the moon. A better world does not have to feel comfortable on the first day. It only has to give life a stronger chance over time. If this planet stayed stable, its gift would be power. Not limitless power, not safe power, but a more continuous flow of energy across the surface, arriving from a sky that rarely goes completely dark. That would change how civilization thinks about work, food, movement, and rest. It would also change what people lose, because night is not only an absence of light. It is a silence. It is a pause. It is the time when heat leaves the ground, animals change their voices, and the stars appear with their full weight. A planet almost never in darkness could give humans energy, while taking away one of the oldest comforts life has known. Its bargain would be written across every street at sunset, in shadows that never quite disappear. A more enduring world begins by changing the meaning of the word better. A better planet is not necessarily the one with the brightest skies, the deepest oceans, or the most unusual view above the horizon. It may be the one that gives life the longest chance to recover. Time is easy to overlook because it does not look like a resource. Water can be touched, air can be breathed, soil can be planted. Energy can be measured in machines, wires, heat, and light. Time feels different. It surrounds everything so completely that it becomes invisible. But for a civilization, it may be the rarest protection of all. A living world does not only need one lucky moment when conditions become right. It needs long stretches when those conditions remain good enough. It needs calm after disaster. It needs recovery after mistakes. It needs room for intelligence to fail without being erased permanently. A planet that offers that room may be more valuable than one that looks spectacular for a short period and then becomes hostile. This is where the earlier worlds begin to connect without becoming the same idea. The world under a quiet orange star gives time through endurance. The shielded world gives time by keeping radiation and atmospheric loss from constantly cutting life down. The ocean-rich world gives time by slowing climate shocks before they turn into collapse. The twin world system gives time by refusing to place every future inside one fragile sphere. Each version solves a different weakness in the same larger problem. Life is not only threatened by death, it is threatened by interruption. A single impact can change the air. A violent climate shift can break food systems. A star can slowly alter the comfort of a planet that once felt secure. A civilization can damage its own home before it understands the cost. The question is not whether disaster can happen, because disaster always can. The deeper question is whether the world remains patient enough afterward. On Earth, life has survived through vast pressure. It has passed through freezing periods, warming periods, impacts, eruptions, oxygen changes, extinctions, and long recoveries. That survival is extraordinary, but it is not the same as ease. Life here has often continued by narrowing, shrinking, hiding, and beginning again from what remained. A more enduring world might make those bottlenecks less severe, not by preventing every crisis. No planet can do that. But by giving oceans, air, geology, and climate enough steadiness that recovery does not always begin from ruin. For humans, that difference matters because technology does not make civilization immune to the planet beneath it. Cities can be rebuilt after storms if the coast still makes sense. Farms can return after failure if the seasons remain usable. Knowledge can survive collapse if there are still people, food, tools, and shelter to carry it forward. Even science needs a stable world around it. A telescope, a library, a satellite network, or a university is not separate from climate, power, food, and peace. It rests on all of them like a lamp resting on a table. Remove the table, and the light falls with it. That is why time can be compared to a reserve supply hidden beneath civilization. As long as it is there, mistakes are not always final. There is still another generation. There is still another season. There is still another attempt to build more carefully than before. Now picture a settlement on one of these longer-lived worlds after a catastrophe. The towers are broken. The roads are cracked. Salt dust has dried along the edges of old flood barriers. A radio mast leans against a pale morning sky, silent for now. For a while, it looks like an ending. But the planet itself has not turned against them. The air is still breathable. The seasons still return in a pattern people can understand. The ocean still moves heat around the world. The star still rises with the same quiet force. In the valleys, people begin clearing fields again. In dark rooms, old machines are opened, repaired, and taught to speak. Children learn the names of tools before they learn the names of lost cities. The ruins do not disappear, but they stop being final. That is what a patient world can give. Not immortality, not protection from grief, not a guarantee that intelligence will make wise choices. It gives the possibility that failure becomes part of history instead of the last page of it. This is also why beauty may be a poor way to judge a home. A dangerous world can be beautiful. A short-lived world can shine with overwhelming color. A planet near the wrong star can look calm for ages before the sky begins to change against it. The universe does not mark safe places clearly. The better world may be quiet, restrained, and almost forgettable from a distance. Its value would appear only across long ages in the things that do not end too soon. The atmosphere remains. The oceans keep moving. The interior stays alive enough to recycle what the surface needs. The star gives warmth without rushing the planet toward a hard future. And civilization, if it appears there, receives something Earth has never promised forever. It receives more chances. A world like that would not make humans wiser by itself. It would not remove conflict, fear, ambition, or carelessness, but it would change the punishment for being slow learners. It would give life more room between warning and consequence. It would let a species make mistakes without every mistake becoming extinction. And in the deepest sense, that may be the most human definition of a better world. Not a perfect place, a place that forgives long enough for intelligence to become worthy of it. Any search for a better world begins with a warning that nature rarely improves one thing without changing something else. A planet is not a menu where every advantage can be chosen separately. Gravity, air, water, light, heat, chemistry, and orbit all pull on one another. Change one part of the system, and the rest of the pattern shifts. That is why a supposedly safer world could still become dangerous in a different way. The mistake would be imagining that there is a perfect planet waiting somewhere with every Earth problem corrected and no new cost attached. Physics does not work like that. It gives bargains, not miracles. Take gravity first. A world with slightly lower gravity sounds comfortable. Bodies would feel lighter. Mountains could rise higher. Flight might become easier. Launching machines into space could require less force. Even walking across long distances might feel less punishing. For a species that dreams of building, traveling, and leaving the surface, that sounds like a gift. But lower gravity can also create biological questions across generations. Bones and muscles develop under load. Blood moves through the body under familiar pressure. Pregnancy, childhood growth, balance, and long-term health all depend on forces we rarely notice because we have never lived without them. If gravity falls too far, comfort could become weakness. The world that feels easy for the first settlers might become harder for their descendants. The opposite problem is just as serious. A planet with somewhat stronger gravity might hold its atmosphere more securely. It might keep gases from escaping too quickly and help maintain pressure at the surface. It might also stay geologically active for longer, keeping some inner cycles alive. Those advantages matter, yet stronger gravity writes its own burden into every body and every machine. Steps become heavier. Flight becomes more expensive. Buildings need stronger support. Mountains stand lower because rock cannot hold itself up as easily. Rockets must fight harder to reach orbit, making space travel a far greater challenge. A world can protect the air while trapping its civilization more firmly on the ground. Water brings the same kind of bargain. Larger oceans can soften climate and store heat, giving a planet a slower response to disruption. That sounds protective after seeing how sharply weather and climate can punish life. However, too much ocean can hide the rock that life needs. Deep global water can weaken mineral exchange. Limited land can restrict farming, settlement, mining, and the ordinary work of building a civilization. A calm blue surface from orbit may conceal a hard life below it, where people search for every island, reef, shelf, and exposed ridge like treasure. Light can also turn against itself. A world with several stars could receive more energy, longer daylight, and fewer periods of darkness. For power, agriculture, and activity, that could be valuable. But extra light does not arrive alone. It brings heat, radiation, orbital complexity, and the possibility that one unstable star spoils the whole system. A sky that gives too much can become a ceiling of pressure. If the planet cannot release heat back into space, abundance becomes fever. The same double edge appears under a giant planet. Tidal heating can keep a moon alive inside. It can move minerals, drive geology, and help prevent the interior from becoming still. Yet the line between useful warmth and violent squeezing is thin. A little internal motion can help a world breathe through rock and volcanoes. Too much can tear the surface into eruptions, toxic air, and constant upheaval. The force that makes the moon interesting can also make it nearly unlivable. A second nearby world carries its own cost. It reduces loneliness. It gives civilization another place to watch, visit, learn from, and perhaps survive through. It can make extinction less final. But another living world is not only a refuge. It is another gravity well, another political body, another biosphere, another source of rivalry, fear, dependency, and responsibility. Close passages could raise tides, strain coastlines, and force societies to organize around cycles larger than ordinary human planning. The backup could save civilization, or it could become one more way for civilization to endanger itself. Picture a settlement on one of these improved worlds from far away. At sunset, it looks peaceful. Low homes sit beneath a colored sky. Water channels move between fields. A faint aurora glows near the horizon. The streets are quiet, and the air seems safe. But hidden beneath that calm, every system is working against a cost. Pumps hold back higher tides. Shields protect electronics from radiation. Farms are timed around strange light cycles. Medical records follow the effects of gravity on children. Weather towers listen for storms made stronger by warm seas. Engineers inspect foundations built for heavier bodies and heavier rain. The world may be kinder than Earth in one direction, while demanding constant attention in another. That is the serious version of the search for a better home. It is not the hunt for paradise. It is the search for a bargain humans can survive. A real improvement would not be the planet with the most dramatic sky, the deepest water, the brightest day, or the largest shield. It would be the world where the trade-offs land in places bodies, ecosystems, and societies can endure. Too little gravity, and biology may weaken. Too much gravity, and civilization may struggle to lift itself. Too much ocean, and stability may come without ground. Too much light, and energy may become heat. Too much tidal force, and geology may become violence. Too close a neighboring world, and survival may come with danger written into the sky. This does not make the search meaningless. It makes it honest. Earth has its own bargains, and humans have simply grown inside them so completely that they feel natural. A stranger world would reveal its costs more quickly because our bodies and cultures would notice every difference. The best planet may not be flawless. It may simply place its dangers where intelligence can understand them, plan around them, and survive them. Physics does not give gifts for free. Under a sky no human has ever stood beneath, the body might notice that the world is wrong before the mind can explain why. The light has a different color. The air carries a different weight. The horizon bends with unfamiliar distance. The pull beneath the feet is close enough to feel natural, but not close enough to disappear completely. Above, the sky does not match any memory formed on Earth. It may hold a smaller orange star, a giant planet hanging like a silent neighbor, a second living world far across the dark, or several suns fading into one another near evening. For the first human standing there, the feeling would not be simple wonder. It would be recognition mixed with unease. This place might be habitable. It might even be gentler in certain ways than the world that made us. But it would not be home at first. Home is not only a list of conditions. It is not only breathable air, liquid water, tolerable gravity, and a temperature the body can survive. Home is memory repeated so often that it becomes invisible. It is the shape of daylight through a window. It is the weight of a step. It is the smell after rain, the color of morning, the sound of wind moving through familiar trees. It is the sky being so ordinary that no one looks up unless something changes. That is what makes the idea of a better world so complicated. A planet could improve on Earth in one direction and still feel emotionally foreign. It could give civilization more time, stronger protection, broader oceans, easier energy, or another world close enough to matter. It could reduce dangers that humans have always accepted as part of existence. And still, the first night beneath its sky might feel like exile. This is why calling another world better does not make Earth less precious. Earth is not valuable because it is flawless. It is valuable because it worked. Out of dust, water, sunlight, chemistry, accidents, extinctions, and survival, it produced a living surface complex enough to become aware of itself. It carried forests, oceans, animals, voices, tools, cities, grief, music, language, and questions. It gave one species the ability to look outward and wonder whether the universe had built other homes with wider margins. That fact should make Earth feel rarer, not smaller. A more stable planet somewhere else would not erase the importance of this one. A safer magnetic shield would not make our thin blue air disposable. A longer-lived star would not make the sun meaningless. A second habitable world nearby would not make Earth's loneliness a failure. Those possibilities only show that habitability is not a single doorway that is either open or closed. It is a spectrum. One world may be barely alive, clinging to warmth beneath ice or under a toxic sky. Another may carry oceans but no land. Another may offer protection but too much gravity. Another may give light without rest. Another may remain calm for ages, but lack the chemistry that makes complex life likely. Earth sits somewhere on that spectrum as the only living example humans know up close. Not the final design, not necessarily the easiest design, but the one that happened here. Once that idea settles in, the universe stops feeling like a simple emptiness between stars. It begins to feel unfinished. Not unfinished because it was made for us, or because better homes are waiting with certainty. unfinished because every planet is an experiment in gravity, chemistry, heat, time, and chance. Some fail quickly. Some never begin. Some may hold life in forms we would not recognize. Some may be almost right, missing only one condition that would have changed everything. And somewhere, perhaps, there may be a world where the bargain with physics lands more gently than it did here. Not a paradise, not a replacement, not proof that humanity is destined to leave. Only a reminder that Earth is not the only shape a habitable world could take. Picture Earth from far away. No nations are visible, no borders, no arguments. Only blue air wrapped around a small bright sphere, white clouds turning over dark oceans, continents partly hidden beneath weather, and night waiting on one side. From that distance, the atmosphere looks almost impossibly thin. The oceans look exposed. The whole planet seems less like a fortress than a candle cupped against the dark. And yet, that fragile brightness is everything we know. It is every human life, every lost city, every field ever planted, every storm survived, every voice that ever looked at the sky and gave it a name. To imagine a better world is not to turn away from that. It is to understand how narrow and extraordinary our example really is. The universe may contain planets with softer stars, stronger shields, wider seas, deeper patience, and skies that would make human beings stop walking just to stare. Some of them may solve problems Earth never solved. Some of them may create problems Earth never had. None of them are known to be waiting for us. None of them make this planet ordinary. They only widen the question. If life can happen here, under this star, on this imperfect world, then what else can physics allow under a sky no human has ever seen? Perhaps the strangest thought is not that Earth might be less than perfect. It is that perfection may have been the wrong measure from the beginning. A home does not have to be perfect to be sacred. It only has to be the place where life learned to ask what another home might be. And somewhere, under light that has never touched human skin, there may be a world that would feel strange for centuries, then familiar, then loved. A world that would feel like home only after Earth taught us what home means.